Hi everyone, this is the Englishman here. As intrigued as I know you all are to hear my audio commentary for this, along with Brassmaster and Yukai Dragoon, first things first, I would actually recommend watching the original run first before you listen to the audio commentary. Spec Ops: The Line is a very immersive and really interesting game to watch, and especially to listen to. And as intriguing as the audio commentary could be, I would not want your first experience with this game to be with us babbling over it. So I'm actually going to drop a link to the original run below. And if you haven't seen that, I would recommend watching the original run first and then coming back and listening to the audio commentary after that. So regardless of whether you choose to do that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the audio commentary for Spec Ops done on Fubar Fast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my commentary for Spec Ops done on Fubar Fast, or Sawed Off. I am the Englishman, and I am joined today by Brassmaster
Yeah.
and Yukai Dragoon.
Yokai. Yokai is fine.
Okay, alright. Alright, now Brassmaster has seen bits and pieces of this run, while Yukai has never seen this game before.
This is, I don't have consoles or computers capable of playing this game, so...
Yeah, so this game was released back in 2012 by Jaeger Studios, published by 2K. This is on Fubar difficulty. Only 1.3% of players on Steam have beaten this difficulty. It's difficulty so hard you actually have to beat the game on hard in order to unlock it.
Yay!
That upside-down American flag is important. You should remember that for later.
Yeah, I know that means something, but I forget what.
It is a universal sign of distress.
Ah, okay.
Don't tell me what you're supposed to do with the Japanese flag, but apparently...
They're always in distress.
Yeah. It's apparently the Japanese are always in distress. But yes, this is a helicopter gunship fight, and fittingly for a military shooter, we are starting off our run with a bout of intense helicopter action.
Intense.
I meant to say intense helicopter action, right?
Oh, so intense.
Yeah, intense. Well, it is action, and there certainly is a helicopter.
There you go. So
yeah.
this game, of course, does the auto-saving, which is the bane of speedrunners' existence.
Oh my
How difficult was it to work around that?
Not difficult at all. I was actually able to find the Brassmaster actually found the save file folder. Anyway, the stuttering you see there is actually, this game hates AMD processors, particularly in this level. Anyway, yeah, I did testing in this area. It is impossible to die in this level, regardless of what difficulty you're playing on. You actually play this level again in Chapter 12, and you can very much die in this level in the Chapter 12 version of it. If you can go through this even on Fubar and without firing a single shot, you're meant to be shooting down all these helicopters. But I run this game on the easiest difficulty all the time, so this is like a 2-minute 35-second stretch break at the beginning of every run. I could just go away from the computer and sort of get up and stretch my arms a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, press the start button. Time for a break. Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. So for the people that don't know about manually dealing with saves that we have to do for this, like on console, you have to exit the game, go to your save menu, and back everything up onto a flash drive. For PC, it's a lot easier. You just close down the game, open up the folder where it's at, and game saves are in one of two different locations. And all you do is just copy the 1 or 2 files that you need and replace them or put them elsewhere. It's actually really simple.
Oh, so you do have to exit out of the game, though?
Yeah, but you can launch it very fast. I do this all the time for one of the games that I run on PC.
Yeah, Spec Ops has 4 save slots, so you can copy-paste the same file 4 times. So I was able to do duplicates of 4. There are some segments which have an autosave in the middle, which was very handy for those ones, which means I didn't have to copy-paste every single one. Anyway, here's the first bout of actual gameplay. I switch over to my pistol immediately. You move faster with one-handed weapons, as opposed to two-handed. In single player, there are only 4 one-handed weapons in the entire game. 2 of them are the pistol that you start out with, and the submachine gun. And then there's a Desert Eagle, and there's one other weapon, which is a one-of-a-kind, that we won't actually be seeing until much later in the game. So this is just an intro. I'd like to point out that this game does look very nice. I am playing with texture quality on low and shadow quality on very low, and this game still looks pretty good. It's a credit to the art direction of a game that even when you have terrible textures like this, well, it's terrible because it's low quality, but you could still make a game look good just through the art direction. And this is when the game is trying to look bad. Once it actually like pulls back the curtain and tries to give you impressive looking vistas, it gets even better.
So I guess out of curiosity, what got you into this run? Because a couple years ago when I was watching your streams on Twitch, you were doing RE4, right, for a while?
I did a lot of PC runs around the time that my laptop for streaming console games started to die. And around the time I boot camp my Mac. I was doing Pablo EO for a while. I got into this game as well. Oh, you have to let Lugo, your squad mate there, go first. Because there's a prompt later on that won't show up, to crouch, that won't show up until Lugo is down over there. You aren't able to crouch until both your squad mates are down there. You could tell there's an extra subtitle that'll appear if you're too slow. Anyway, so now we can stay here and check out the ironic advertising over here. Yeah, this takes place in the sand-buried United Arab Emirates city of Dubai. It has been completely ravaged. There are less than 5,000 people left by the time you've showed up.
Getting your exercise there.
Yep, there's actually an out-of-bounds glitch in the PlayStation 3 version that you can do through that. Anyway, here's the first fight in the game. There's a kill plane. I wait there because there's a kill plane that kills you if you run too far forward. I have to kill all these guys forward. And I pick up the micro 9mm because it's better for blind fire. Turret does an insane amount of damage on Fubar. On easier difficulties, you can actually just pick those guys off, but that turret means you have to wait for Adams and Lugo to flash and clear before you can go through there. You notice I can't vault until Adams says it's clear there. One thing that distinguishes this game from a lot of other modern military shooters is the emphasis on squad commands. Your squad is very good, but everything is also really streamlined. You have one button, which the default is the middle mouse. I changed it to F just because I find it a lot more useful. So yeah, I have a certain routine of enemies that I kill in a certain order just to bring out other enemies that come out of the cargo box. Those two enemies there, and then that opens up the contacts for melee, and we're introduced to executions, which will give you ammo. The ammo scales down depending on the difficulty. On Fubar, it gives you 40% of a clip when you execute an enemy. Most of my segments die there because it's random as to whether or not that turret can kill you. There's a lot. Don't worry, Chapter 3 is a lot less hectic, I promise. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot going on compared to your average modern military shooter. Yeah, I melee these two guys. Melee doesn't actually do any damage. It just puts them into a down state, after which they can be executed. Yeah, this is random as to whether or not you can run past here without dying. If I hadn't meleeed those two guys, they would have killed me running down there. Again, I have to kill these guys, otherwise there's an extra kill plane. And I wasn't as worried about wasting ammo here, just because here. And now there's an extra part about the despawn system. There is a despawn of sorts, but instead of disappearing, enemies just die of spontaneous heart attacks. You can hear them just dying right there. Also, this is probably the single most embarrassing moment of the run. I am truly sorry. I had such a good segment leading up to this that I was willing to let that go. Just because that was my best segment leading up to that.
I take it you should have killed them, like gotten more headshots.
I probably should have taken the M4A1 that the game was trying to give me, which was a lot better at that range. Yeah, the micro 9mm is meant for close range combat and for blind fire. Yeah, here's another excellent example of what I call fox die, which is the despawn system where they all die of heart attacks. You know, that's a Metal Gear joke. So I do have to kill that turret. Again, that's only on Fubar. On the lower difficulties, you can just run right past them. But there, everyone died. You could hear that scream. That was everyone dying behind me. All of their pacemakers just stopped working.
I remember one section like that in Act 1 of Gears of War 1, where there's a checkpoint that we try to trigger that kills like 5 grubs that are right there.
Yeah, there's one checkpoint that actually does trigger a fox dive for enemies in front of you, but that doesn't occur until much later in the run. That's duck walking, much like in like The Last of Us, when you're walking slowly. Only in most but not all sections, walking while crouched is faster than just slow walking. The Scar H is a really good assault rifle, but I don't pick it up because it would have died if I tried to pick that up. Also because the RPG is really useful for this section coming up, which is a scripted hold the line section. This game does have a lot of hold the line sections, but they're almost all player driven in terms of the triggers. There's only one that's on a timer. Like, which is neat in terms of gameplay, but it's really annoying for a speedrun because you actually have to try and kill enemies quickly. You don't really have the luxury of trying to sit around, and while some of these fights do look sloppy, I just wasn't able to get good enough fights later on. So this part is pretty self-explanatory. The opening from like that first fight of Chapter 1 onwards was hectic. I realize I've been.
Is your dude just standing out there in the line, like open, completely uncovered?
Yeah, your squad is actually your squad mates do have a fair amount of health.
Apparently.
On Fubar, if your player character Captain Walker is made out of wet tissue paper, then your squad mates are made out of like wet cardboard. They are more durable, but only slightly. So once you kill a certain number of enemies, the sandstorm triggers. The game loves using sandstorms. You'll see sand being used a lot in set pieces. So yeah, the next 2 or so minutes, there's a lot of downtime. If you want to ask any questions about the mechanics, etc., this is where the game starts to get a lot more interesting visually as well.
I think it is worth noting, when you're talking about these sections and not being able to get good fights later, I do know for a fact, and you can confirm this, that when you got a segment done, you're like, okay, I've got my baseline, let's go back and improve it, and you would continue to do attempts until you're like, okay, I think that's it.
Oh yeah, that's especially the case with this fight later on. I should note that the AI in this section on every difficulty other than Fubar is deliberately gimped to be worse than some of the enemies you'll see later on. But on Fubar, everyone has the same AI, and you'll see that a lot of the enemies start throwing grenades left, right, and center during this next ambush. And the main reason why I kept this next segment is because I was able to get my micro 9mm back very quickly without having to run into the open. And also because I managed to get that one guy who's on the top there without wasting too much ammo. I wasn't worried too much because I knew I would have to. I knew that I wasn't gonna keep the AK for too long anyway. But yeah, the main reason why I kept this segment is because I managed to get a micro 9mm without having to run into cover or run out of cover. Sorry. Yeah, you can see it right. It's right there. So I managed to swap the RPG out for the micro. But yeah, enemies, the insurgents are not supposed to know how to flush you out with grenades. That's something that's what you receive for enemies later in the game. But not on Fubar! And also, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the dialogue at all, but there are context-sensitive squad orders for almost every single object in the game. I am not even kidding. Just stop and listen to some of the squad orders. You can hear Tango by the piano, on the stairwell. There is one skeleton for a T-Rex in the entire game, and there is a squad order for take out that guy by the T-Rex. I don't get to use it. I don't get to use it, but trust me on this. Also, yeah, that's another example of a checkpoint in the middle of a segment. Doesn't really matter too much though, because it's right at the end. But yeah, this is what it says. Also, you'll notice in the bottom right, there's a little thing there. The micro 9mm and the M9 have suppressors as their secondary fire. I don't ever use them, although you will see me using the suppressor for the M4A1, which is an assault rifle that you saw me use in Chapter 1. Here's an example of me using a segment to skip a conversation with Adams and Lugo, who are your squad mates, by the way. Adams is the black guy, Lugo is the white guy. They actually do have a surprising amount of characterization. Also, this part is incredibly difficult. I think this was the first segment to pass 150 attempts. As you can see,
play.
yeah.
150 attempts. I eat that for breakfast.
Yeah.
Yep.
I should note that I wasn't. Oh yeah, that body. I sure hope you saw that body fly.
Yep. I got it.
Yeah. Also, we've been fighting Arab insurgents for the last 3 chapters. Those are the last Arab men you will see in the entire game. From now on, we're going to be fighting Americans.
Naturally.
All Americans, all the time.
Always and
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, now, unfortunately, this segment was pretty good, except I didn't get caught in the geometry. I didn't realize this until much later, but, oops! Oh dear. Oh well, I guess I'm gonna have to go back and redo the entire run because of that one mistake. Yeah, but this is one instance of a slow walk section where you actually can't crouch. I've tried various ways of trying to trick the game into getting me to crouch, but you're just not able to crouch.
You're going too fast. You need to go for a stroll.
Well, it's although you do move ever so slightly faster with the pistol out as opposed to the AK-47. I do keep the AK-47 for a little bit longer, although we'll be swapping it out for the grenade launcher that comes up a little later. So this is the first moral choice in the game. You do have the option of listening to this guy and letting him live. Although not only is it considerably slower to listen to him talk, but he also leads you into an ambush in this next map if you let him live. Oh. Okay. Oh, apparently I needed user action to continue the recording for the commentary. So I got to keep an eye on that. Okay, so apparently every 15 minutes I need to keep an eye on the bottom right corner of my computer. But yes, I'm just showing off the various
Oh right. So what
modes.
does the suppressors do?
They just make it so that your bullets are quiet, and there are some stealth portions in this game. Only against the 33rd, which are the American squadron that you'll see later on. These are the American soldiers. By the way, these guys magically disappear. Poof! I don't know where they went. I have no idea where they went.
You're a magician.
Yeah, I experimented a lot with this fight. This ended up being my best attempt. I could not get anything better than this. It's just at some point, I just felt like there's just so much randomness in terms of getting Adams and Lugo to cooperate. Getting Adams and Lugo to cooperate at all. Usually they're pretty good AI-wise. The thing is that they're not so good at being aggressive once American soldiers start showing up. They're pretty good with the insurgents, but not so much with the 33rd. Also, Adams is kind of dying over there. So go. Now, at this point, Adams is supposed to be over at the door, breaching the door with his breaching shotgun. But he's kind of down and out. So I wonder, how are we supposed to get the door open? I guess the door's going to open itself? Yeah. Yeah, it did. It opened itself. So I guess we didn't need Adams after all.
Now, would it have been faster to have Adams?
This segment held the record for the most amount of attempts for the longest time. This took 510 attempts. Now we're getting into almost Yukai acceptable territory.
Almost.
That's pretty, yeah, 500 is a pretty good number.
Yeah, this is like above average for Yukai. Yeah, I don't know why this took so many attempts. It's not a particularly complicated segment. I mean, the one that ended up taking longer than this is considerably more complex. But yeah, I pick up the grenade launcher, which gets a lot of use later on, especially in Chapter 5. Yeah, but you'll see later on. Now, this is split up into lots of neat little segments. This is one instance of sprint reloading, which is a glitch where you can reload while sprinting. Because unlike in Gears, you're not supposed to be able to sprint while reloading. But the only consistent way I found to do that is if you go up to an ammo box while you're sprinting, fill it, and then reload immediately after that. You can reload while sprinting. But that's the only consistent way to do it. Also, I do not pick up that extra thing of flashbangs because I would have died right there if I had done that. I did not have time to stop. Also, that's the lady that Brassmaster killed in his first playthrough of this game. I am never going to let him live that down as long as he lives.
Just popped out of nowhere. I fire a shot and I go, oh crap.
Yeah.
Oh, well. You gave me a lot of crap for that.
Yeah, it's and it is well deserved.
Yeah, but you messed with my mind the entire playthrough of this too.
Well, I wasn't the only one, but I was the one who instigated most of it. Yeah, I shoot out this wall before I'm told. Before I'm told to do so. Usually there's a prompt that shows up because the game expects that you're actually shooting at the other enemies. Yeah, that ends this section a little earlier than expected, and hooray! We just buried an entire squadron of American troops in sand. Don't you feel like such a hero?
Yes.
I know I do. What a badass.
Is it not faster to stop firing the turret before it overheats?
No. Because eventually it gets to the point where I tested it, and the cycle it ends up not being a non-factor because occasionally you can I did the math, and the cooldown timer is actually pretty slow, or sorry, it's actually pretty fast. So it ends up
About the same.
yeah, it ends up being about the same. And anyway, here we go. Here's another nice one. Now, this is another example of getting a very rare drop off of an execution. I got a stun grenade, which is a less than 5% chance, which for something like Final Fantasy XII might be pretty common, but it is the single rarest grenade drop you could get in this game off of an execution. And yeah, I almost died. You will get to see a lot of instances of me going down to like 1 HP before being regenerating. Yeah, the grenade launcher absolutely tears everybody apart. There's a reason why the game like rids you of all your weapons every so often, and that's because it tends to give you weapons like this. You won't be seeing the grenade launcher again until like the second last chapter of the game. And I won't be swapping out for the sniper rifle, but this is, yeah, that fight actually went pretty decently, I think. I should point out this is not the first segmented run that I've attempted, but it is the first one that I've completed. Also, I know that you're excited about this one, Brass. I was pretty proud of my semi-competent sniping skills. So, on Fubar, the Scout Tactical, headshots, much like on Insane, headshots are one-hit kills only on Fubar, whereas body shots are kills on any other difficulty. And I think this segment went pretty well.
I think we're clear.
Those balconies with the ropes hanging down are conveniently littered all over the place.
Yeah, you'll notice that that's a common theme in this game's level design, actually. That the squad finds themselves at the very top of areas a lot and descending, and yet you never see them ascend, not even in the cutscenes. Also, watch
I
me.
was gonna ask.
Watch me almost die again. Yeah, that nearly killed the segment. Yeah, I have mostly memorized the spawn points here. Again, this is another one of those segments where there was one specific reason why I kept this, and it's at the very end, and you'll see why. Because I managed to end this fight at pretty much the earliest possible point, and that alone was the main reason why I kept this segment.
You just shot at Adams.
Yes, I did. Adams and Lugo look so much like the 33rd.
It's because they are.
Yeah. That's another good thing. If Adams or Lugo go down in the middle of a fight, you could just order the surviving squad member to go down and heal them for you. It's amazing. I wish more games could do that. I don't think Gears. You can't do that in Gears, can you? You can't order another squad mate to.
Well, you can't order, but the other ones, at least in Gears 3, the other members can pick you up.
Well, no. Can you order? Anyway, yeah, that was pretty much the earliest I could have ended that fight. But yes, you can. But in this game, you can order another squad mate to pick up your other squad mate, which I think is amazing, and I wish more games would do that.
Yeah, you can't do that in Gears. Gears 1 is only 2 players anyway. I think the same thing with Gears 2, but Gears 3 has 4, and if you go down, the other members can pick you up.
This game is single player only, although there is a cooperative. There is cooperative DLC, which Brass and I have played, and I have to say that co-op, the co-op DLC on its easiest difficulty rivals Fubar.
Yeah, it does.
On single player. It's not quite as hard as Fubar, but it gets there at points. And I have tried to play the co-op portion of this game solo on Fubar, and I have beaten the whole game on Fubar twice. I played one map on co-op Fubar once and gave up. There are apparently videos of people soloing maps, soloing co-op maps on Fubar. Which I don't understand, but that's his name. But yeah,
there's crazy people out there, crazier than even us.
This game has a pretty eclectic soundtrack. In case you noticed, the DJ actually becomes a character later on. His name is the Radio Man, and he has some of the best lines. But yeah, I don't need to worry as much about wasting ammo because this is the last fight before I lose all my weapons.
I was gonna ask earlier, you threw like 3 grenades in a row.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about that because I lose all my weapons after this. I basically know like at what points I'm gonna lose all my weaponry. Also, this is at what point. At some point your squad mates will play like squad healing whack-a-mole, where at some point, one squad mate will be healed, you order them to heal them, then that one will get healed, you order them, and then it just becomes a recursive cycle. Which could be somewhat amusing. And this is another instance. I ended the fight as early as I could. Lugo's gonna kill the last enemy. Right about now, I think. Right there, and then I hit the zip line pretty much as early as I could. And that's why I kept the segment. Don't bother to reload because I know I'm going to lose all my weapons. And I get stuck on the geometry later on here, but it's much less egregious than that other one in Chapter 4. And because the previous fight was so good, I was much more willing to let it slide.
How about with the radio man running the show? It's not that hard to believe.
Ah! God, looks so ugly. Avert your eyes. So the next fight in Chapter 6 is infamous regardless of what difficulty you're playing on. I would say it's probably the part where most people give up playing on Fubar once they get to this part. You are separated from your squad mates. You're armed with just a Desert Eagle and an M4A1, and you have to survive against a wave of 33rd, and you have no real cover at all. And this took a while to get. This was 400 plus attempts, which for me was a lot. I mean, I'm not exactly at Yokai levels of dedication in terms of attempts, but this was, I think, my 3rd or 4th highest attempt count. Yeah, at some point I just had to memorize. Yeah, this is the Desert Eagle. I keep this for up until the point where I start losing my weapons again, because it is very useful to have a blind fire weapon that's a one-hit kill when you hit on the chest or head, as well as the groin, apparently. but that was just at a longer range. The M4A1 I was going to swap out anyway, so I'm not as worried about wasting ammo. You do get ammo pickups pretty frequently, particularly when it comes to weapons like the M4A1. So, I mean, yeah, like ammo preservation is not as big of an issue in this game as it is in Gears, or at least it's not as much of a priority. Also, 90% of my attempts ended right there because you die most of the time, just running across that bridge. And,
yes, so just as you'd expect, the majority of your attempts are going to be because of health.
Yes.
You just go down so fast.
Yep. And that was ugly. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I do realize that there are some pretty amateurish mistakes in this, but at the same time, I don't think this run is that bad. There are definitely some parts later on that I'm very proud of, and I'll point those out when they come. I mean,
you're never gonna get through a run of a game like this and get to the end and then go back and watch the first half of it and go, oh my gosh, why did I accept that?
Also, that ending was also another reason why I kept that.
Like, just by the nature of these games, after you do thousands and thousands of attempts, your last few segments are gonna be better than the first few.
Yeah. Also, I don't know why for some reason I don't know why some of these segments are in 30 frames per second, others are in 60. I recorded all these in 60. Also, despite this being a turret section, all of the triggers are player determined. This is not an auto scroller. All of the triggers are determined by your kills. Much like in some of the turret sections in Gears. Like I said, there's very few things that are timer based, and even some things where there are AI triggers. There are AI triggers that can be where they can be accelerated by player actions, and it's stuff like that where I think the gameplay really makes this game stand out from a lot of other modern military shooters when it comes to speedrunning it, at least. I mean, when you're playing this game casually, it doesn't do a lot to separate itself from the crowd, but when you try to speedrun it, it feels very different from your usual fare. Just because so much of it there's so much player agency. And I mean maybe I'm being too crazy about this, but I mean from what I've seen of Gears running, it's the same thing. That there's a lot of player agency in the scripting.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, most of it is either just run straight through or kill all the enemies and then run straight through. So, it's.
But I mean,
Yeah,
are there any sections where I assume there's also a lot of sections where someone like Dom or Polar Bear are stuck in a particular section, but their pathing can be accelerated by you doing something.
Not really.
Not really.
It's mostly just scripted events of waiting for them. It's all time based on what they do. Sometimes they have things of what they could do.
Also, this segment, I weaponized this game's hatred of AMD. You see that freeze right there? I would have died if the game didn't freeze right there. That freeze only happens. That freeze only happens because the game hates AMD video cards.
That's hilarious.
Also, here, this is one part I'm really proud of. Check this out. That's like a 3 or 4 frame window to get that headshot.
Oh yeah.
I am ridiculously proud of that.
There's one place I can think of when you when is it? After the second cedar, I think. You have to wait for coal to get to some place. Like, that's one of the few places where you actually have to wait for. Yeah, that's right after. It's right after the out of bounds glitch.
Yeah. Also, Radio Man is singing Along the Deus Irae, and he is a terrible singer.
Oh yeah, this was funny when I first heard that.
Yeah.
I had to laugh.
Yeah, this game has few jokes, but they are funny. This game is. I assume that you've noticed that this game is taking on a much more macabre tone the further it goes along.
I was afraid we lost you
I don't know. I mean, we're not getting much of the
story.
Well,
yeah, that would help.
It's starting to bleed over into the gameplay. So this is me advancing the scripting a little bit. There's supposed to be a new weapon that's literally sent from the heavens that we're going to use to shoot down this door. But because I have M4A1 ammo left over, I can shoot down the glass with it. It's symbolism because it's sand that's going to be covering a scale model of Dubai. See, it's symbolism because of the storm. Anyway, there's the weapon. This is the 417, which is a pretty decent weapon. Anyway, I end up not needing to use any of the 417 ammo on the door, because I just use the leftover M4A1 ammo. But yeah, the macabre tone is gonna bleed over into the gameplay very shortly. Also, oof.
Let's move.
Oh no, I lost a second. How dare I?
Reset.
Yeah. Runs over. Runs over, we can all go home. Alright, so, so this is Chapter 7, and, we've surprised Yukai enough. I think it's time to surprise Brass. There's gonna be a surprise near the end of the chapter.
Oh boy.
Something that, there's a route change that you don't know about, that I haven't told anybody yet. But yeah, there's another instance of that Snow Dubai advertisement from earlier, from the very beginning of Chapter 1.
I don't remember if we said it before, but as much as I was kept apprised of what was going on with this run, there was a lot of it that I have not seen, and a lot of it that's kept under wraps.
Yeah,
so
Brass was pretty much the only one I ever showed any of this to, and I didn't, aside from Akion, I didn't tell anyone that I was even working on this. I alluded a lot to me working on something else like this, but I didn't say what game I was working on. I just said I was working on a super secret 80% segmented run, also gut shots, blind fire gut shots. This is why I kept the Desert Eagle, because I could do blind fire gut shots with the Desert Eagle. I had to kill 3 of those enemies before I went out to the turret in order to get the fast spawns. You're not supposed to be able to get to the turret this fast. I initially thought that the early turret was only a strategy that would work on Walk on the Beach, which is the easy difficulty that I usually do single sailor runs on. But I did some experimentation, and I ended up finding a version of it that worked on Fubar, which is always nice. In fact, there are quite a few Walk on the Beach strategies that I invented as a result of my work on Fubar, which I definitely would not have thought of if I hadn't done this run. Much like how Brass, you said that quite a bit of your Gears of War casual strats came from seeing Yukai's insane work. Also, throwing a sticky grenade over there, and here's part of the change. I wonder. That's, I did a weapon switch there. Wonder why that is. I picked up the M4A1. That's curious. Okay, so, this is actually coming up is the very first strategy I ever found for this game on Fubar. We are supposed to meet a new, also, that's a pile of dead bodies. That's another instance of this game being very dark. There's a new enemy type called the Heavy coming up, and we're going to skip the fight by throwing a sticky grenade. On every other difficulty, you can actually run right past the Heavy, but not on Fubar, because he can kill you. However, grenades have another property in this game. If you throw a grenade onto sand, it creates a dust cloud, or rather a sand cloud, and it blinds enemies, and you can run past the enemies, because they're blinded by the sand.
It's a message to the survivors.
Very good.
Alright, so here we go. Agent Gould. So it's time to save Agent Gould. This is going to be a big fight. Things are going to go to the turret. And, ha! Just kidding, we're going to go save the civilians!
Now's your chance, Walker. Do it and wait. Stay behind me.
So, when I was testing this, I found there's a script break. First of all, you're not supposed to be able to walk ahead of Adams here. This was the big shock, by the way, Brass. This is the first time I've ever done a save the civilians route in a speedrun before.
Huh.
So, first of all, being able to get ahead of Adams here at all is a script break. And because of this, this is an incredibly risky strategy. The way that stealth works in this area, if you fire a single bullet out of place, if you miss a single bullet, every enemy in the area will be alerted to your presence and you will fail the objective. And it'll revert back to the save Gould thing. I'm not able to move until after Adam says it's clear. So I have the M4A1 with the suppressor on. And there he is. He said we're clear. So I'm going to switch over to the M4A1. And I'm going to take out the magical pop-in enemy. There we go. Hello. Oh. Yep, there he is. I hope you saw that. And there we go.
So if you hit him, they don't hear the bullets, and if you don't hit
it's
him,
because
they
I had
do.
the suppressor, yeah. Also, enemies take multiple shots. Also, those guys are already supposed to be over there by the time you've done that, because it's a whole scripted event where on that second kill, there's a sequence where Adam screws up the kill, and he has to get you to do it instead. But I killed him before any of that happened because I was ahead of him. You're supposed to be behind Adams during that whole sequence where Gould is being interrogated. Also, no matter what you do, Gould dies, but it's the context of which you try to save him that changes, whether you try to save the civilians or whether you be selfish and try to save Gould for the mission.
Right, let's get moving.
And it does change one small thing later on in the game. Alright, oh, did Brass?
I'm back in.
Oh, okay. Oh, did you see the magical...
Unfortunately, no. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch it later.
Okay,
but
well,
okay.
you saw a man, you missed a man appearing out of thin air. Anyway, I managed to get this next segment on my very first try, and I was happy with that, because no kidding, I've had nightmares about this segment. Not because it's difficult. It's not very difficult, but because this is probably the single most infamous part of the entire game. This is basically the part where the game goes to hell in a handbasket. Not the quality of the game, but the story. We have a camp ahead of us, and we don't have enough weaponry to take it out, so we're gonna have to use some white phosphorus, unfortunately. And tell me, does this look familiar?
Looks familiar to me. I knew exactly what I was thinking during this section playing.
Yeah, this looks exactly like Lemmings, doesn't it?
Yep.
Or possibly that one level from Super Mario Brothers. Anyway, I hate to talk about strats during a part like this, but you can advance a couple of sections here. It doesn't really matter because you have to wait for the Humvees at the very end, and the camera is on a timer anyway. But it really all that matters is that you're able to sort of it's also the hitbox on the Hummer at the end is a little worrisome there, and I'm not gonna talk much during this part, but I hope you at least noticed that the guys in the back weren't really moving that much.
It's over. It's right, Walker. Okay.
So now we've had our fun with the death from above, but we've got to face the consequences of our actions.
So for that section, there wasn't really much to speed it up.
No.
It's just kind of like on a timer, but you still had to take out all the tanks.
I just had to make sure that I had a round ready by the time the Humvee the final hunting's in position.
Oh, okay.
God, I can't even watch this.
It's because we know what this is.
There's nothing we can do.
So those guys in the back were civilians that we just bombed. In case that wasn't clear. Okay, back to more suitable violence. I fired the shot there because you're locked in a slow walk. Firing the shot breaks you out of the slow walk. So I wasted the ammo for a reason there. Threw the sticky grenade just to blind the enemies there. So that even though I shot the enemy that I threw the sticky grenade in, it still caused it to blow up. So I was able to group those enemies together and more easily kill them with the Desert Eagle. We're still getting to the point where we will see some enemies later that will take 2 Desert Eagle shots to the chest before dying, but we don't see them until Chapter 10. For now, chest shots and headshots with the Desert Eagle are one-hit kills, and that's still the case for Standard 33rd for now. You'll also notice that occasionally, oh, and that unfortunately that happened. Yeah, I kind of. That, unfortunately, that stun grenade waste, I kicked myself for that. I tried to get a better segment, but I couldn't do it.
Well, like
that was
the
a segment break,
cut
though.
funny.
Yeah. That was not my proudest moment. Thankfully, this next fight went really well. So I was able to kind of redeem myself in that regard. If it were to be possible to even redeem myself after the horrors that we have just witnessed. But anyway, you'll notice that that Walker's voice has changed considerably. He is trying to deal with the grief of having to essentially being tricked into covering hundreds of civilians in White Phosphorus. But you'll notice that occasionally there are differences in the color of your aiming reticule that actually it tells you how much damage you could do depending on the range. If it's red, you're doing full damage. If it's pink, you're doing half.
Oh, interesting. I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's actually where the loading screen tips actually tells you that. Speaking of
all those loading screens I ignored.
Well, to be fair, the loading screen tips really only come up when you die, and you really didn't die that much in your playthrough because you were playing on Walk on the Beach.
Yeah, and playing really casual. So just a quick note from the segment before. It was a really funny segment cut, and just to kind of explain that, I'm pretty sure you just hit a checkpoint right there.
Yeah, I did.
In the middle of the fight, and you just reloaded that checkpoint. That's what despawned all of the enemies.
Yeah, usually I try to end the video like 5 frames after either a checkpoint reach or after hitting pause, depending on whether I hit pause close enough. I didn't actually realize that I hit the checkpoint that early. Which is why that checkpoint cut was a bit funny.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring attention to it. It just looked weird, but I knew what was going on there.
Yeah. So this this segment has the only timed hold the line section in the entire game. There are a couple of enemies that I kill just because they are problematic if I don't kill them, but aside from that, I just don't waste any ammo, so... oh, and this is a moral choice, by the way.
I was wondering what choice you're going to take.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter which one. Yeah, that there are actually lots of different choices you can make for that section. It's kind of hard to explain. It just play the game. I highly suggest that you play this game, Yukai. It really deserves more love.
Is there something on your mind, Lieutenant?
Yeah, there's a good chunk of sections where you get to choose, and that's one in particular that you have a lot more options than what it appears. Yeah. It looks like you only have 2, but you have like 12, it seems.
You have, I think you have 5 or 6. You can shoot one, shoot both, shoot the ropes, or shoot the snipers. And there's a couple of choices that get you a game over, like not doing anything. which causes the snipers to shoot at Adams and Lugo, and then eventually at Walker. So yeah, this is the one hold the line section in the entire game that is purely on a timer. So I got on my way to grab Sticky Grenade. Eventually, once I realize it's actually there, and then there's basically I'm just waiting for the sandstorm to show up, and I just get squad orders, get Adams and Lugo to do all the killing for me.
They don't have. They've got unlimited ammo.
Yes, they do. And they actually have specialist weapons that they deal with. For example, Adams usually deals with grenades and with a light machine gun that the heavies carry, and Lugo has his own special assault rifle, as well as the scout tactical, scout tactical sniper. And we're just gonna wait for the sandstorm. I'm sure Lugo and Adams will be fine. They're just having a little nap. They're synchronized. They're just practicing the synchronized breathing. See, they're having a moment. Oh, come on, walk it off. Okay, so here we go.
Sandstorm will clear that right up.
Yep.
Yep.
See? Or either that or a checkpoint reload. Or preferably a checkpoint reload in the middle of a sandstorm. So yes, I am throwing a stun grenade in the middle of a sandstorm. On Fubar, enemy accuracy is not reduced that much in a sandstorm. They go down from being like 90% accurate to being like 75 or 80% accurate. Whereas they pretty much can't hit the side of a barn on other difficulties. You see, like there, I took like 2 shots and I'm almost dead. And that's in a sandstorm, where they're supposed to not be able to see anything. So it's, I'm still recording, aren't I? Yes. I'm still recording, I hope. Yes, it says I'm still recording. That's good.
This is the 12th recording we've done for this guy. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's actually the 30th. Anyway.
Oh, I lost count.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's another example of duck walking where this is where it's also worth noting at this point that Walker, our protagonist, is starting to lose his grip on what is real. It's going to become really apparent later on, especially once we hit chapter 11. But he's going to start seeing things. Yeah, that's another checkpoint cut where I just hit the checkpoint. You can see checkpoint reach in the top left corner. Anyway, yeah, I gotta execute that guy to get the extra Desert Eagle ammo, and then grab the extra. Refill ammo does not actually give you your entire stock. On Fubar, it only gives you 40% of your ammo capacity. Although on easy it gives you 100%. On normal it gives you 90, and I think on hard it gives you 75, and on Fubar it gives you 40. And it scales down similarly for executions when it comes to clips. Once again, this is another example of a good but not great fight with an absolutely amazing ending. You've noticed how much more aggressive Walker's squad commands have gotten?
Yeah, he's at the point to now where he's pretty much yelling.
Yep. Yeah, it's hard to think that this is the same guy who calmly said target neutralized, and now he's basically saying, I want that fucker dead.
Just a little bit losing his mind.
Yeah. You know, ever so slightly going insane. So, here we go. Pretty much right on the first frame, I could have ended that fight. I did. So, Yukai, what do you think of this game overall? Now that we've pretty much reached the halfway point of the run.
I don't know. It looks interesting so far. I think that, yeah, It probably makes a lot more sense if you've played through it and know the story and whatnot.
Yeah, but it's I wanted to get your reactions. Knowing I definitely think it's worth at least one playthrough.
Yeah, I mean
Everyone deserves to play this game at least
squad
once.
commands look interesting for sure. Like they've got to be more useful than Gears of War teammates.
They are.
Although they did a pretty good job in 3, if I remember right.
Yeah, they got better as they went along, but in 1, which is where we specialize, it's they're completely useless.
Yeah, your squad is really good. The actual commands are all context sensitive, but the AI is really... The AI for both the enemies and your squad is very good. Perhaps a little too good on Fubar for the enemies, but really the main disadvantage that your squad has is that they don't have as much health as you'd like. So basically what I want is that a heavy is going to spawn at some point, and I want him to get stuck in that doorway directly across from me, because I want his light machine gun, and I want him to get stuck in like a corner that's directly like in a relatively straight line relative to where I am, and also the heavy almost killed me. So basically I want him to focus a little bit more. Adams threw that grenade just now. But Adam's specialty is flushing enemies out from a distance, particularly those that, basically he can, Lugo can snipe at long distance enemies, and Adams can flush groups of enemies with grenades. Oh god, I'm losing my voice already. We're only halfway through. Yeah, lots of running. In this take of the segment, enemies were surprisingly inaccurate.
Yeah.
This is not representative of Fubar difficulty. I promise you. If you do not try this at home when you're playing on Fubar, you will die. I promise you. I have hundreds of attempts, hundreds of failed attempts to prove me right.
Is there a guy standing up there above that window?
Yes, he's actually
there he goes.
Yeah, he's actually he's the invisible wall monitor. He is invincible, and if you try to run ahead of him, he will kill you instantly. Also, that's an example of a sprint reload with the light machine gun. I just thought I'd show that off. It has no benefit, but it looks cool. It's a glitched animation because you're not supposed to be able to do that. Also, I'm tearing out Walker's knee with the cover dance.
I forgot about that.
Little breakdancing.
Yep. I figured that, Walker is pretty much a villain at this point, so I figured if I could do as much physical injury to him as humanly possible, he kind of deserves it. Considering what he's done at this point. Torture him with body and mind.
What's the plan, Riggs? Hold him up.
And there's another...
Cutscene skip, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now we're going to be introduced to our next enemy type, which is the Zulu Squad. These are the guys I mentioned before who could take two Desert Eagle shots to the chest. This is not them. The second wave is Zulu Squad. You get one wave of 33rd first. I got that out because Adams and Lugo killed that other guy for me first. Anyway, yeah, this is Zulu Squad. Again, there's another invincible guy. He only stays invincible for a little bit. He actually is part of the second wave. Yeah, that's sometimes a glitch that happens. That grenade still did damage, but that grenade was actually supposed to cause a dust cloud. But the actual take ended up being good enough that it didn't really matter. Also, I had to take a real risk here. Yeah, I was just saying that, Riggs. You don't need to explain Zulu Squad again. I was just explaining that. So Riggs is opening the door, and again, this trigger is determined on how many enemies you've killed. So I'm trying to stay on the stairs while also killing enemies at the same time, which is somewhat easy on Walk on the Beach, but very difficult to pull off on Fubar. I'm somewhat reliant on luck from Adams and Lugo, as well as trying to actually pull off some kills on my own. Also, more duck walking here. And another another pretty interesting fight coming up later on here. This one in the car park. I remember my first playthrough. My first playthrough for on Fubar was very difficult. There's a full there's a full round of machine gun ammo in the corner there that I grab and almost die grabbing, but it was worth it because I have to get that just to clear everyone out there. Also, I canceled that stun grenade because I knew that was a bad position for it. Yeah, this looks sloppy, but I ended up compensating for this with a really good heavy kill. Particularly Adams and Lugo ended up really doing wonders on this heavy. Sorry, I'm a little bit. Also, this next section is a stealth section, and I use the term stealth very loosely. You'll see why. It is quite amusing. This game, I get the sense that stealth was added very late into development. It's purely line of sight, and I mean, aside from like very specific bullet sensitivity things. But anyway, I'm just gonna sit back and listen to your reactions to this stealth.
It's kind of what I'm seeing so far is exactly what you expect in a stealth speedrun. So you've got the suppressor on, but then you're just running around and you have silent footsteps.
Yeah, basically it's 747 stealth. Also, this took a while. This is a very long. Also, this is another.
What?
Yeah, that's the fox die trigger that I was mentioning, where enemies die in front of you.
I was looking at the knife guy though.
Yeah, he died. He has a fox die trigger in front.
Wow, that's funny.
Yeah. Also, I love how this turned out. This is the second headshot kill that I got on the turret. I ended up missing on the first one, but it was a leg shot. But the kick ended up putting me into the turret for the headshot there. And this was insanely fast. So that's chapter 10. I'm very proud of how that ended. So I mentioned before that I had something special planned for 10-2. If you remember.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay, I gotta leave you to this, but essentially I have a challenge planned for 10-2. I hyped myself up for this so much, and then I ended up getting it on my second attempt. But I don't use the iron sights at all. I just blind fire every grenade launcher shot, which is, again, this is one of those, do not try this at home when you're playing on Fubar.
Is there any benefit to blind firing it? It's not going to make you go slower if you aim, right?
No, there is no benefit whatsoever to blind firing, unless for some reason you don't like aiming at things.
Okay, so why did you don't like
just
aiming
to look badass?
Because this is all on an auto scroller anyway, essentially. I mean, on Walk on the Beach you can kill things fast enough here anyway, but it's with Fubar. With Fubar, things take enough damage that it's all basically on a timer anyway. You basically just have to survive long enough. So yeah, this is my goal for 10-2, was to do it without iron sights, and I succeeded. I actually remember on my first playthrough on Fubar, this actually took a very long time with iron sights.
It's almost like saying don't use them. It's easier.
I just didn't know what I was doing. So, because it's not very clear what's happening in the story here, Riggs is tricking us into basically destroying all of the water in Dubai, which is in the Aquatic Coliseum, so that the city will slowly die of thirst, thus covering up the U.S.'s involvement in the failed evacuation of Dubai. Otherwise, the entire Middle East will declare war on the U.S. It makes no sense, but then again, it's not supposed to, because Riggs is just as insane as Walker at this point.
This is your fault, Walker. You did this, not me.
And yeah, that guy is Colonel Conrad. He is supposed to be the villain in this game, but at this point, I think Walker makes for a better villain.
Yep. There's a choice coming up. I wonder if you actually address it. You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, it's the same as always. It's easily the fastest choice.
Yeah, but you can do either one and not waste any time.
There's a variant on the letting Riggs die choice that I do, which you didn't do in your playthrough. And it also involves the duck walk.
Oh, okay.
So this is the fourth small arms. This is the fourth one-handed weapon in the game, which is Riggs' Magnum. You can just leave Walker to die. Sorry, you can just leave Riggs to die, or you can kill him, or you can watch him burn. So we're gonna hold on to this Magnum for chapters 11 and 12, and we get the Desert Eagle in chapter 13. It's not even remotely funny that an old man is burning to death underneath a truck.
Except I'm laughing for something else. For a different reason.
I hope you are, because that's not even remotely funny.
No.
Anyway, okay, so at this point, this is another pretty difficult segment. This is supposed to be a forced fight, which running past these guys I thought was a strategy that was only worked on Walk on the Beach, but I found a path that worked on Fubar somehow. And then right afterward, because there's a checkpoint in the middle, right afterward you have to do this pretty difficult sniping section. Oh, hey, I just learned the Chicago Blackhawks won the Stanley Cup. Congratulations, Chicago Blackhawks. Anyway, back to the carnage. So yeah, the radio man is basically the villain at this point. So I am avoiding the sniper rifle and basically sniping with the Magnum at this point. And I don't need to worry about wasting ammo because there's a refill ammo box that constantly respawns. And now I'm trying to kill. And now I know that enemies spawn. Like you can actually see them spawn in the distance there. I try to kill, I think, 4 enemies, and then I run over here. At that point, that gives Adams and Luco just enough time. This is what I mean by AI scripting that can be accelerated by player agency. Like this gives them more time. This gives them more time to run over to the turret than they really should have. Because they're supposed to be pinned down by the turret, and then they're supposed to spend like a minute or two sort of fighting the turret themselves. But you can accelerate that by killing the enemies early. And that, I think, is the main thing that separates this from other military shooters, and why I think this is such a good speed game. And yeah, that I didn't worry about the refill because there was right here. Also, I hope you're not epileptic, right? Are you, Kai?
No.
Okay, good. I just thought I'd ask. Because you know what's coming, right, Brass?
Yep.
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask. So the M10 is a really good weapon for this part. The heavy is constantly teleporting with every flash. And Again, this guy is not supposed to be this easy to destroy. I do apologize for misrepresenting how difficult this guy could be on Fubar.
Yep.
The
But
whole
when you
point
run
of
a
a
game,
speedrun is to misrepresent how difficult the game is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially on what is far and away the hardest difficulty that only 1.3% of all players have beaten.
Yeah.
I cannot emphasize this enough. This is incredibly difficult.
Well, 500 attempts will make even difficult things look not that difficult.
Yeah. But I mean, it is worth noting because you can look at this and go, "Oh gosh, that's slow," but then it's like, "Well, let's see you do faster," and
Yeah.
you know,
Also,
nobody can.
I love that real animation glitch on the turret there. Also, okay, so this looks like it should be a total auto scroller, but it's not. For one thing, that guy over the yeah. For one thing, okay, so for one thing, there's going to be a door that I shoot over on the right. I don't remember exactly when I shoot it, but there's supposed to be a section later where Adams and Lugo are stuck under a door they have to shoot, but I'm going to shoot the door early, and that means that their AI automatically goes on to the next section, and that saves about 20 seconds. Because they have a whole dialogue they go through, as well as going through everything else. Anyway, I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate the Chicago Blackhawks on winning their third Stanley Cup in, like, what, 6 or 7 years? And they've gone through, like, they've gone through, like, almost 50 years without winning it. And that's the door that I shoot there, that they're supposed to wait on. And that saves, like, 20 seconds on its own. Also, this is a great song, and I accidentally shoot Adams again. I don't know why I hate Adams, but I do. I'm sorry, Adams. I like you, but I keep shooting you.
It was an accident.
Anyway, this song is called Stormy High by Black Mountain. It's really good. This game's soundtrack is really good. The licensed, I forget who did the original soundtrack for this game, but he hasn't written any video game music since 1997, but he did a really good job on the OST, and the licensed soundtrack is just as good.
Yeah.
Particularly because a lot of the licensed stuff is justified by being like playlists done by the Radio Man. Like you'll hear there's going to be a song by Martha the Vandellas later on in Chapter 11. But yeah, this part again, it's all you just try to kill the enemies as quickly as possible, which will accelerate Lugo and Adams' pathing. They're supposed to wait for that door, for you to shoot that door, and I have more or less memorized this. The enemy spawns here. Unfortunately, I'm too used to walk on the beach, and so I accidentally had Lugo die. The thing is that Adams and Lugo could heal each other pretty much instantly in this section, thankfully. Unlike in regular gameplay, where they have a couple of seconds for their healing animation to kick in, which I'm very thankful for, because otherwise, also, yeah, ammo stuff that you can blow up here. There is, you generally want to chain together the ammo crates when you hit them, because there are little slow-mo effects when you hit them. But I kind of forgot to do that. But the rest of the path advancing was so good that I forgave that. And that's almost the end. We're almost at the end of this section. There are very few turret sections, like I said, and almost none of them are like completely scripted, or at least in the sense that that you can't do anything to advance them. Also, I always go out of my way to get hit by both Adams and Lugo.
Fine, don't worry about it. How about you two?
Because you can.
Yep.
And because Walker
and
deserves it.
they have special dialogue for standing under them.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
I
didn't listen for it.
All right, so here we go. We're in the next chapter.
So who's gonna take?
And
North.
this next chapter has a small bit of a downtime, followed by another hectic gunfight, and then more and more gunfights. Yeah, we're in sort of the home stretch. We're in the last 20 or 30 minutes of the run, and we're sort of doing quasi stealth here. Basically, we just want to hit a checkpoint trigger. I sort of like did halfway stealth.
And then you got bitch slapped.
Yep. All that matters is that I hit that checkpoint trigger there. That's all that really mattered. And it doesn't matter that I don't kill those guys, because Adam's a Boogle will take care of them. I'm more concerned about the guys that will spawn in this main basketball court area. Sorry, I just gotta rest my voice for a bit. This area had a pretty good blooper in it during the blooper reel.
Yep, I know what you're referring to. So when running this kind of a game, it is... I guess it seems kind of obvious that we would memorize spawn patterns if we can, but it gets really interesting when there's no set spawn path, and so you have to constantly improvise, and trying to find a solid route for the area is not always possible.
Yeah. Also, the squad orders make for a really good enemy marking system.
Yeah, it does.
Like here, it's much easier to find those snipers by issuing squad orders and then kill stealing. There's really no other way to describe it. Also, this is supposed to be a hallucination where you beat up your own squad mate in a violent hand-to-hand struggle. But the thing is, you could just take out your gun and shoot him.
Oh my god.
There's like a 30 to 45 minute sequence of you just punching Adams over and over and over again.
Yep, 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
So 45 seconds.
Okay.
I
was going to say, that is drawn out.
Yes, the uncut version is 45 minutes long. Good thing I had to get the German censored version for that. But yeah, here's another sniper mission where I obviously the best weapon of choice is the Magnum of all things. But yeah, this is definitely one sequence where, because of the body shot rule, the Magnum makes for a better sniper than the goddamn sniper rifle.
Yep. And thanks to
and of course the enemy mark kill steal is the best way to deal with any weapon. It is the best way to deal with anyway.
Yeah, and mouse aiming here is definitely an advantage.
Yes. Also, that line, well shit, there goes my fantasy football league, is actually a scripted line that appears, that shows the trigger for the last wave. Also, I hit that, I crossed that zip line way too early, at possibly the earliest possible moment I could have, before the game auto-killed me.
You almost got shot by a sniper when you jumped up on it.
Yep, that was about as close as I could have gotten without dying. Also, speaking of dying, the Radio Man's about to die. Rest in peace, Radio Man. We're gonna miss your tunes.
Yeah, with this kind of game, it's very common, even on the easiest difficulties, where you'll see a lot of almost death.
Yeah. Even in my Walk on the Beach runs, I die a lot. I don't think I've had a deathless run on Walk on the Beach yet in my single segment runs. Speaking of, I better start running this game on Walk on the Beach again for single segments, particularly with the Fubar stuff. If I can get a deathless Walk on the Beach, that'd be great. Also, in this segment, this segment has a tendency to crash at the very end of the segment, like right when you're at the helipad. It has something to do with leaving an enemy to die, leaving a certain enemy to die, like that enemy there. If he isn't dead, if Lugo doesn't kill him or you don't kill him, the game crashes. I've had at least 4 clean runs die because, or I've had at least 4 clean segments die because of that crash. Also, this is all pure rail shooter. Although this part, actually no, this part is actually advanced by player agency, but the rest of it is once Lugo gets onto the chopper, then it becomes a pure rail shooter. But up until then, you can actually kill enemies early. So if you have any further questions about the gameplay, about speedrunning, speedrunning the game, etc., this is now the perfect time because there's not much going on for the next 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes? It's like the car driving scene all over again.
Yep.
Yep.
And there's a story sequence right after.
So where's the other dude? There's 3 of them, right?
Yeah. Adams is the one. Driving the helicopter right now.
Ah.
Or flying it, I should say.
Yep. Lugo just hopped on board.
Yeah. Lugo apparently is. Actually, I don't know what Lugo is doing at the moment. I think he's on the other minigun on the other side. I don't know what Lugo is doing. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen. He wants to circle around by the pool so he can test out his Gatling gun on American soldiers. Our hero. What a guy!
You're clearly not a fan of this game. I don't know why you play it so much.
But that's the point, right?
Yeah.
This game is not on Walker's side. I don't know if you've gotten this yet, right? He's the villain. This is the point. The entire point of this game is that Captain Walker is the villain, essentially. That you're deconstructing the power fantasy of your average modern military shooter. The game is not subtle about this at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it helps to see the cutscenes and know the story of what's going on.
I will give you that. It helps considerably when you actually know the story. But yes, the game does not like Captain Walker any more than I do.
But at least you do get a very nice choice at the end.
Yes. A very satisfying choice that I
Which you get to take the good one.
Yes.
Speedrun, because the other one adds quite a bit of time, actually.
It actually, for in-game time, it actually doesn't. I mean,
interesting.
It would make for a more accurate in-game time if I took it. But well, I'll explain that choice later. But I'll explain the choice later. But it's anyway, we're about to get a sense of deja vu.
Yeah, I think you did a terrible job. Let's go ahead and restart this commentary and go back to chapter 1 and do that whole section all over again.
Yeah.
Because that'll help out.
Anyway,
so, welcome to the run.
Yeah, well, welcome to Spec Ops done on Fubar Fast. Yeah, Walker is now so insane that he can break the fourth wall. So, at this point, I actually haven't tested to see whether I can still put the keyboard and mouse down. Although you can't go completely away because there are 2 Sidewinder missiles that appear. They have to shoot down. One of them is about to appear any minute. There it is. But aside from that, I actually don't know if the difficulty is increased on the helicopters. But as you can see, I pretty much spend this entire section near death anyway, so it might actually... I have not tested to see if the difficulty is actually increased on this compared to the prologue of Chapter 1, Sidewinders notwithstanding. This shmup section was all done in one segment, by the way. Everything from actually getting onto the helicopter up until the end of the story sequence at the start of Chapter 13 was done in one take. It wasn't done in one. It was one segment. I mean, it took about. It didn't actually take that many attempts. I only think it took about 25 or 30. But yeah, it was all done in one sitting.
So that leads up to a good question. What are your stats in terms of segments? Like, what was your shortest, longest?
I don't know about the shortest and longest, but the least amount of attempts was 1. I did the start of chapter 8 was 1 segment, or it was 1 shot. Most was 635, which was the second last segment. Overall, 66 segments, 8,975 attempts, which is not that bad, I suppose.
Depends on what you compare it to.
Yeah, what do you think, you guys? 66 segments, 8,975 attempts? Not terrible.
66. So, 66 segments, you said, and how many attempts?
8,975.
He's doing the math.
So, 135 attempts per segment on average. That's pretty good.
130. Oh, excuse me. It's 135.98484848.
Yeah, that's a respectable amount of segment attempts.
Anyway, this is what I call the Burj of Sauron.
I was just thinking that, actually.
Yeah, this is supposed to actually, because they couldn't. Apparently, the Burj Khalifa is copyrighted, so they couldn't actually use the Burj Khalifa in this game. So they had a substitute, which in the script is called the Alpha Burj. Although it's never actually referenced by name in the game, it's just called the tallest tower in Dubai. Although in the script it's called the Alpha Burj. Although in this segment I call it the Burj of Sauron. But there, you learned something today. The Burj Khalifa is a copyright. Is a copyrighted name. Oh no, Lugo! Lugo!
There were over 5,000 people alive in Dubai the day before you arrived.
Where have I heard that before? Oh, that's the opening monologue from the trailer I made for this run, by the way. You haven't seen it yet, you guy. I should link that to you eventually. Okay, so we're in chapter 13, which is the third to last chapter in the game, and the second last that actually has combat in it.
Oh, then it's just a bunch of scripted events.
Yeah, 15. Chapter 15 is one long scripted events, but it's actually relatively short. Chapters 13 and 14 are quite long. So anyway, this segment is short, but it's only 20 seconds. This is actually quite hard to do. I almost got hit there, which means I would have died. This is almost impossible to do on Fubar. As you can see, I almost died there. I would say this is the hardest fight on Fubar. The hardest forced fight on Fubar. This definitely has points that look sloppy, but I would say that any improvements that I could have made to this would have had to have, like, crazy RNG tied to them. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, you have to pull off a lot of headshots. Yeah,
a lot, especially because you're fighting Zulu Squad, who, as I mentioned before, take 2 and sometimes 3 Desert Eagle shots to the chest to die. Whereas before, with just the random 33rd, those guys can take the 1 chest shot before dying with Desert Eagle. I think the 417 is a pretty decent weapon overall for casual play. There's usually usually Adams is scripted to usually take that guy out, but apparently that script breaks pretty often on Fubar because Adams' reaction time isn't fast enough. Yeah, that enemy, that heavy always scares the hell out of me. Oh, speaking of heavies, the heavy in chapter 4, the heavy at the very end of chapter 14 has something special tied to it, Brass, and I hope that you'll be able to see it. I am able to. I'm able to preserve the spoilers, actually, regarding that heavy. Also, Also, I made a small mistake with the reload cancel there, but it didn't really... I lost like maybe half a second there. It really was not that big of a deal. Especially considering how good the fight was. Also, I also was able to use... I got 2 stickies. I used both of them in this segment. First of all, to create a dust cloud, like I was mentioning before. And also, I found a really creative use for another sticky grenade up here. First of all, I used a melee attack to find a turn. Also, I threw a sticky grenade here in order to trick the enemies to run away from the grenade so I could jump down into the checkpoint trigger.
I remember that. I saw that. You showed me this segment. I'm like, what the hell was that for? That was like a wasted grenade, and I didn't realize that's what you were doing.
Yeah, because the enemies take priority over running away from the grenade, as opposed to attacking Walker, if they have the choice between that. Also, look at this. Blind fire headshot.
Nice.
I was willing to accept the kind of sloppy combat from there just because of that blind fire headshot. Also, there is a glitch that I sometimes get called Crazy Adams, which unfortunately did not happen here. This is a lecture which is supposed to be directed at the player, by the way. I'm gonna shut up here so you can listen to it.
This whole mission is fucked. We just took out a tower full of American troops.
They didn't leave us any choice.
You didn't leave us any choice.
Yes, you, the player, you didn't leave us any choice.
We're fucking soldiers. Oh, I see. My mistake.
Alright, can you see why the game hates Walker now? It's not just me that hates Walker. The game hates Walker too. Yeah. Everybody hates Walker.
Well, it's also a different experience when you have a couple people watching you play this, messing with your head too.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a glitch that sometimes happens called Crazy Adams, where sometimes if you do a fight skip while going into Adam's lecture there, he'll still be in combat mode while delivering it, which means that he'll be running forward going into it and will deliver that lecture to a wall, which somehow makes that morbidly funny. When you speedrun a game as dark and oppressive as Spec Ops: The Line, you have to combat it with like dark comedy. So this also has another This area has another game-breaking glitch called the yacht glitch, where sometimes one enemy in the final wave sometimes fails to spawn, which causes the sandstorm that is about to spawn to last forever and ever, which means that you will never be able to stop it. And thankfully that didn't happen here, obviously, but I have had bad experiences with that before. But okay, it's still recording the call. That's good. Okay. I am just being paranoid about whether or not it's still recording this call. Yeah, this is basically I'm just hoping that all of these enemies will funnel in through this area, and they do, and that actually did kill an enemy off screen, as did this next grenade throw right here. Seems pointless, but listen. Yep, thanks to Walker's insanity, I was able to tell that I actually killed someone with that grenade. So once the sandstorm clears, that's my cue to run out and start taking crazy risks. I have lost a good number of attempts because I was too risky. I was being too risky once the sandstorm cleared. But thankfully I was able to get a pretty decent track record there. Anyway, we're about to say goodbye to Lugo, unfortunately. And no, I could not bring myself to gun down the civilians. Even when it was a half second faster, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I shot above their heads. I have standards, goddammit.
Well, we're going for speed.
Get ready.
Before I discovered the dock walking, I used to mercy kill the soldiers, and after dropping the White Phosphorus on them, because I just couldn't stand seeing them with missing limbs slowly dying out. Yeah, this game emotionally affects me.
A little
and yet
too
I'm still
much.
speedrunning it. And yet I'm still speedrunning it. Yes.
Yeah, you need a good zombie game or something where you don't have to. There's no moral ambiguity.
About damn time.
What has this game done to our minds?
If you're listening, Colonel.
Yeah, if you really pay attention to the story, it's really well done, but it really does mess with your mind.
It does. It is. Okay, so in this chapter, I am all but convinced that at this point, because Adams has... You'll notice that Lugo is gone because Lugo's dead. Rest in peace, Lugo. And Adams blames Walker for Lugo's death, and I am convinced that at this point, Adams AI is actually gimped because of that. And that he has become insubordinate. And that his AI has actually become worse as a direct narrative attempt to sort of reflect his disapproval of Walker.
It would make sense, and I wouldn't put it past him.
I would not put it past him either. Yeah, again, this is a little rough, but I could not get a better segment than this. Probably because most of my segments, I couldn't even make it to this area, so... I was just happy I was able to get here anyway. And, of course, so many close calls. And, Chapter 14 has so many incredible moments when it comes to, really close calls and risky strategies. You haven't seen... I don't think you've seen any of Chapter 14 yet, have you, Brass?
Nope.
Okay, you're gonna like this.
I remember you telling me about it, but that's about it.
Oh, yeah. I had to redo a good chunk of this.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah, I had to redo 3 segments of this on the last day. And that was 400 attempts at once. Over 3 different segments. So yeah, Walker's lost his goddamn mind! Can't you tell? Also, I saved 10 seconds by cutting to another segment there. Also, here's one of my favorite segments of the game. I'm just gonna let it speak for itself.
Reloading.
So I have to reload that RPG in order to pick up the grenade launcher, unfortunately. But aside from that, I was able to save about 20 seconds off my other attempt. The main reason why I had to redo this is because I didn't know the grenade launcher was there. I had put 200 hours into this game, and I did not know that that there was a hidden grenade launcher on this map, which helps a lot with this and with a later map as well.
That's kind of like the first time I played through Speedrun Gears of War 1. I went through the whole game and didn't realize that you could shoot the tank out when those...
Oh, yeah.
The 3 boomers come up from underground. There's a quick kill on them that I didn't...
I still need to do a semi-blind playthrough of the Gears of War games. Okay, so this next segment needs some explanation. The first phase of this boss fight is a hallucination, so I'm going to kill myself running into it.
Nice!
Which breaks me out of the animation. Preserving the spoiler, by the way, I might add.
That's genius.
And finally, I got a positive reaction out of you, Brass. So now we get to fight a regular heavy instead. Again, do not try this at home. You will die.
That's awesome.
So you would have had to fight a more difficult fight if you hadn't killed yourself?
Yes. You have to fight a particular type of heavy that has... Let's put it this way. The most powerful sniper rifle in the game is the M99 that kills any enemy in 1 hit, except for heavies that take 2 hits. This enemy takes 5 M99s to kill on Fubar. 5.
Yep.
And it counts as a hallucination anyway. You can run past that particular heavy on Walk on the Beach, I was experimenting with different ways to run past it on Fubar, and while I did find a way, it was considerably slower than to die. And also, because of the way that the game tracks in-game time, that entire sequence of me killing myself took less than one in-game second. Because
So
the game reset. Because the game reset the time. Because it's all time. It's in-game time from chapter 1 to the end of to the start of chapter 15. And manually timed prologue, manually timed chapter 15. Because IGT only starts counting on chapter 1 at the start of chapter 1. But yeah, that entire sequence of me killing myself there only lasted less than one in-game second.
I knew you were gonna kill yourself, but you never told me how, and I assumed you were gonna let the heavy kill you.
that was something I thought of initially. That was what it was going to be my plan all along. And then I was experimenting with ways to try and break out of the animation I gotta censor that in the commentary. You didn't hear that. Try to find ways to break out with the secret boss that I didn't just mention, and I found a way to sort of to use the grenade launcher to kill myself there. Anyway, so yeah, this is the walking sequence. Even then, I could still walk faster than the game intended me to here. Yeah, thank you for. I'm gonna censor that. Don't worry. Oh god, I can't believe I just said that. It
happens.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can walk faster than intended here.
I can cut corners, and you'll hear me because you can hear Conrad. Like you'll hear Conrad talking while he has the painting. I'll point it out where it happens. Like right here. If you sort of like, if I'm cutting corners. This is all manually timed, by the way, because the in-game timer stops at chapter 15 because of the way that the ending that I choose has because of the ending that I choose, the last autosave the game makes is at the start of chapter 15. But you'll notice right here that Conrad's still talking and I could see him painting. So I'm moving faster than the game intended. Because you're not supposed to be able to see Conrad moving there.
You tell me.
I'm done playing games, John.
I assure you, this is no game. I'm going to count to 5.
So this is the final choice. You have a couple different options here. The main option is to either shoot Conrad or let him shoot you. The third option is to pull the gun on yourself. And because I've said how much I and the game hate Walker, I'm going to take that opportunity with relish.
I didn't make it hurt anybody. No one ever does. 3.
And the timer ends now. 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 2 seconds. And that is Spec Ops done on Fubar fast. There you go. 2 months. 2 months of work, 66 segments, 8,975 attempts. And I'm done. I cannot believe I actually finished a segmented run. Oh boy. Well.
Yeah, segmented runs are kind of difficult just because you have to be so good. Like, there's a lot you can, especially on a single segment run that's like over an hour long. You can let a lot of slop go, but you just have to keep doing segment attempts over and over and over if you get a mistake. Unsegmented.
Yeah. So Brass, you guys, what do you guys think? Overall,
well, I haven't played this on Fubar yet, but I know how difficult it is. I've seen some gameplay, and I've done shooters like Gears of War on Insane. And running games like this on the hardest difficulty is definitely pretty crazy and very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it plays a lot like Gears of War.
Yeah, and that's why we had you on this commentary.
And as well, because I knew I knew that I would never match what you've done with Gears of War 1 on Insane, but I was hoping that if I could at least have parts that could, you know, even be kind of like that, then...
Well, you have to consider that that was his second attempt at that run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I had already run it on
And
once.
I listed all the attempts. You could see that I have attempt counters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's the one shot I did, the start of chapter 8, the White Phosphorus I did in one take. I was very proud of that because then I wouldn't have to be besieged by nightmares of raining down White Phosphorus on civilians constantly.
You're clearly too emotional to play this game.
I care too much about the pixels.
That's right. Save the pixels.
And the frames.
Save the pixels and the frames.
Well, you know what? I am gonna be premiering this for an audience for the first time on Saturday, and I can't wait to see what they think of it. To premiere this for an audience that is less experienced in the or less jaded in the segmented speedrunning community, and
well, congrats on finishing the run.
Yeah, thanks.
It's I know from experience how difficult it is to to play a game like this on the hardest difficulty.
Well, I appreciate the I appreciate the congratulations, and well, thank you to the both of you for agreeing to do this commentary, and anyway, I will I look forward to sharing it with the rest of the world. So thank you to both for taking the time to...
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hear them scream, hear them die, watch them suffer, see them cry. A loaded gun in my hand, but all my sins covered with sand, covered with sand.